And balancing exercise. Raise the right knee, hold it there while you tighten your core. Alternate arm braces while keeping that knee up.
Welcome back to our third and final part on this series of videos on Chinese Elm as bonsai. You might remember, if you've seen part 1 and part 2, this is a customer's tree that came into us. It was very, very overgrown, and it's been brought in by the customer for a bit of trim and time. Here's a photograph of when it was first brought into us 7 weeks ago. Then in part 2 of the video, which was 4 weeks ago, after 3 weeks worth of growth, I brought it in part 2 and I trimmed back the new growth of tree at the top. It's been in the greenhouse for 3 weeks since the drastic pruning. It had put quite a lot of leaf out and needed a little bit of shape. And in part 2 of this series, we gave it a trim back and tidied it up and showed you the progression from part 1. So from part 2 to this part 3 is now another 4 weeks. So just been back to the greenhouse in that time, you can see the extension growth it's sent out in those 4 weeks is really quite amazing to have this much growth on it here in the UK. Very, very strong growing tree. As we realised when it first came into us, there was loads of buds on it just waiting to pop. Now, at the end of part 2, we've trimmed it back, but it looks a little bit strange on the top because we've got like an image and this top section was a little bit, looked like it had been stuck on. And when I watched part 2 back, at the end of it I thought it looked a bit strange on the top. And you could look back on it and think, oh, if I cut that bit off there, it would make a more rounded top. But when you look at the tree in real life, the structure doesn't make that a good decision. So we're leaving this apex, but now it's put a bit more growth out. I'm hoping to keep a little bit more width in this top section, so that this apex joins up with the rest of the tree a little bit more. It's probably the part of the tree that needs a little bit more work. And here we've got good sort of 15 to 20 centimetres growth on some of these shoots. Like I say, they've all grown just in the last 4 weeks. So all in all, this has been 7 weeks. It's actually 7 weeks to the day from the time we did the first pruning. I'm going to start pruning this at the bottom of the tree. So longer growth like this that is put out, we can take it back, we can see where the leaves are, which direction they're growing in, and we're still going to trim it fairly neatly. Don't really want to sort of shear it over. You know, this will be the final prune this tree gets before it's collected by the owner and in a week or so's time. So we want to trim quite precisely, and then it can go back when it's all done and dusted. So keep an eye on these shoots that are going up from this foliage pad up to the one above. Another one here, and in here. It's a little bit tall, this section here. We'll work our way around the tree, just taking off this extension growth. You know, a tree like this, a Chinese elm, growing vigorously, you'd be doing this sort of work probably 6 or 7 times during the year. Depends on how fussy you are with the tree and whether you're showing or exhibiting it and how untidy you want it. You don't mind it looking between prunes. And the vigour of this tree, the simplicity of working on it, and the way it responds to the work we've done, just goes to highlight that when people say they want to start growing bonsai, what tree should they start with? You know, it's a very common answer that we recommend we start with Chinese elm. You can see why when we're looking at stuff like this. The amount of vigour, the ease of working on it, makes them a very good tree for beginners, very rewarding tree to grow, and very easy to maintain and shape. quite rightly the most popular tree for people starting out, and that does mean that some, some people who are into bonsai can look down on Chinese elms because they refer to them as a sort of beginner's tree, and it's easy to get people can be a bit of a tree snob and forget about Chinese elms, but they like to work with. So there are other trees in my collection. I've got a couple of old Chinese elms in my collection as well. I mean, we've pruned hundreds of these trees on the nursery elms, and even though I've worked with them for years and in quite quantity, they never cease to amaze me. And this particular tree has certainly surprised us. Its willingness to bud out and the growth it's put out, and it really has done exceptionally well. We've not really sort of forced a lot of fertiliser onto it or anything. We did feed it initially, but it hasn't been done since. It'll probably get given some Naruto fertiliser, going forward in another couple of weeks or so. So now about halfway up the tree, get a bit of length on some of these at the back. You've got to watch it, they've got one here up, it's just coming along, from here. You follow it back, again, it comes right back into there, so that one's chasing back to the origin to get better structure. And now when you see how much this has grown, for those of you that watched the first video, and obviously some of you will have watched it and thought, oh, he's put a lot off that, or I don't know if that will survive, and I don't know, might not like it. You can see how effective it is putting it back like that, and how it's progressed. So I'm going to leave a little bit more length on some of these at the top. We want to broaden this section in here, so let's just take a little bit of this back in here. Leave this little shoot here up so it can grow into this left-hand side, because last time this was quite full and then this was just growing up and it's quite narrow, so trying to get a little bit more width on this section here. You can probably taper this, it's a little bit lumpy this bit here, take the end off that. And then just have a little wrap up all the branches, just to get rid of the bits that we've pruned off, and to get any bits that we might have missed. And the owner of this tree actually gave me